If you spent even a fraction of time on any short-form content platforms, there's a high chance you've seen some posts and content being made about this childlike nostalgic story. Big chance you've encountered posts of these 4 children with silly little masks and silly little interactions, and most importantly, the songs that accompany them. There's a lot of names, lots of designs, and mainly, a lot of music. I've noticed loads of people interested in this small community and world, so I thought it'd be fun to make a small sort of beginner's guide for anybody interested in this. I did reach out to some of the people behind this project, so I have to preface a few things. First of all, the creator of Yaelokre and everything surrounding it uses they and it pronouns, so that's what we're going to be using. I did ask for an interview with Yaelokre's creator, but unfortunately they are very busy with the sudden blow up of all of this content, so we won't be able to do any of that unfortunately. As well, the moderators I did speak to asked me to not delve too deep into any lore, as it's just not really finished at the moment. I know usually with my content I like to delve into the story and lore, but instead I'm just gonna say this. Anything lore related in this video is subject to change. There are a few key things that I think will stay the same, but even then, anything I say can be changed if the creator feels like it, which is entirely their prerogative to do so, not ours. As well, with these people's wishes, we will not be delving into anything other than the main basics we see with each song. We'll only explore a brief portion of this world and some of the impact it's already had on the internet, that of which has been surprisingly strong. Before I begin, I gotta do another basic plug, of course, you get it. YouTube really likes it when I tell you guys to like the video and subscribe. And to be honest, I really like when you guys do that too, so. And as I always state, you should definitely join the FROME server. You know, artists are pulling in their last stretch for Artfight and they're still going very strong. By the time this video is out, I'm pretty sure Artfight is gonna be like a day from its end, but you know. It's a great little community where you can stay up to date with me, my content, and meet a ton of other people. Other than that, I've not much left to say, so let's actually get to exploring the warm world of Yaelokre. Yaelokre, or at least that's how I think you pronounce it, I never checked, is the name of a greater storytelling project. It was made by Filipino artist Keith Osk. As stated before, this person uses they and it pronouns only. Whilst Yaelokre is the name you'll see surrounding all posts about this, the name of the story itself is called Metallark. The story of Metallark is told through, well, Metallark. It's a baritone gutalele, which is the main instrument for all of these songs. It was named after the project specifically. Metallark is told through poetic songs. These songs are sung by 4 children, those of which are known as the Lark. Another factor of this world is that gender and sexuality aren't really a construct, let alone a concept here, so every character will be using they them. Though the voice singing in these songs is obviously that of Keith, there are small changes that make it evident who is actually singing. They will slightly alter their voice so you know who it is singing every part of each song.
Happy here we have you, buried all you children. Tell me so I say. Don't keep them all caged, they will fight and run away. Mother, tell me so I say.
Each lark is tied to another being, that of which is represented by the mask they are wearing. These other beings are known as the Harkers. Whilst we don't know the full extent of these beings, we know which lark represents which Harker. We have some idea of the ages of these 4 children, but their specifics are not that relevant, so we're just gonna presume that they're just young children. In no particular order, here are each of the child's characteristics. Perrine is the tallest of the group, presumed to be the oldest. They have a moose mask and are seen as the most serious and tactical of the group. In songs, they mainly hum background vocals. Perrine's mask represents the croon. Whilst Clementine is the second youngest, they are also the second tallest. They wear a goat mask, one that represents the bell ringer. Clemmy is responsible for many of the lead vocals, but still comes in second most of the time. They're very bubbly and soft-spoken. Kingsley is the shortest and the youngest. Whilst the other 3's masks are animals, Kingsley's mask is reminiscent of a tree. However, this is a greater representation of nature in general, rather than just trees. They are the most wild and childish of the bunch, and also the silliest. Their mask represents the enkindled. Like Perrine, Kingsley mainly focuses on support vocals. Cole is the second oldest and the main singer of the Lark. They are quite shy compared to the others, but also responsible for the lead vocals. They wear a rabbit's mask, however their connection to a harker is mainly seen on the straws on their neck. The straws they wear are reminiscent of the ones on the storyteller. There's not much more that we know about their lore at the moment, however we do know one thing. Cole and Clementine are together, as shown in this Valentine's art with the two together and some other art that Keith has made. In respect to the order I had, I'll explain what we know of the Harkers. The Kroon is the Harker being represented by Perrine. This being is a massive moose, though it's been confused for a bird for its ginormous snout. As well, it adorns massive antlers on its head. So far, we know that this being represents chaos. Sorry for bad audio, I forgot to record. This character right here is the bell ringer. They're being represented by Clemmy, whilst they also represent the future. The Enkindle is the Harker represented by Kingsley. The Enkindled is the most beastly of the four design-wise, despite being the least animal connected. From images, they seem to be a creature made of bark mainly, meant to represent not only nature, but also peace. More so finding peace within chaos. The storyteller is the Harker being represented by Cole. Again, whilst Cole wears a rabbit mask, the indication of connection is the straws that both characters are seen adorning. There's also just basic process of elimination to tell us this, the three others obviously their masks connect to them, and this is the only one left. The storyteller is the representative for the past, which is also pretty obvious because of their name, they tell the stories, they're the storyteller, and the stories already happened, so it's like the stories of the past. Something that a lot of people try to tie lore to but isn't actually super important is the fact that the bell ringer and the storyteller are married. And of course, these two are the ones that are tied to Clemmy and Cole, who are at the very least in love. Whilst many try to make ties to this and explain the deeper connection with the Harkers and the Lark, the most we can say is that this is just a really cute coincidence.
No, you have to understand. The storyteller and the bell ringer are married. But we ourselves are unsure of how the Kingsley.
Unless Keith says anything otherwise, there's nothing more to these two pairs existing at the same time rather than just they do. Again, this story is extremely early in its development, so there isn't much we can really say lore-wise just yet. As well, I'd hate to explore much of it when it's clearly in early development and still being conceptualized. As stated by Mods and Keith, the story and lore will unravel as more music comes out. So just listen to the current EP of Hayfields to get some of the story and then wait for the next one. Rather than delve into any canon lore, I think it'd be fun to see what the fandom has been up to with this small the fandom. This is unfortunate. So when I decided to make a video covering this world and story, I chose to do that when the fans were really calm and most importantly chill. People were just listening to these oddly nostalgic songs and creating their own additions for it, making OCs with their own representations for their own larks and other stuff like that, since Animal Mask is a pretty easy thing to make a character from. Whilst on that, I thought that it would be cool to showcase some of the characters I saw made for this world. Fan creation, in my opinion, is the main motivator for success. Sure, that rallying and support is very good to keep a project going, but I believe that adding both positivity and other creative pieces help a lot to propel its popularity. It's a big reason that stuff like the My Little Pony Infection AUs thrived for so long, and a big reason why Yaelokre is so popular right now. However, seemingly overnight, some weird stuff all happened at once. Without getting too much into some stuff, I'll explain what happened. Here's the thing, we have examples in the past where a small community for a small project created by just a few people, maybe even just one person, gets popular extremely fast. Because of this, toxic fans wriggle through fast and overwhelm the entire community, causing chaos that overwhelms the creators. Yaelokre's first single was released on January 4th of this year, and the EP consisting of 4 songs was released on March 2nd of this year. However, the big explosion of popularity and fandom growth was very recent. With Google Trends, we know that it was around early to mid-July that Yaelokre suddenly blew up. With little way to control this sudden influx of fans, all of which were looking to delve deep into the story and its lore, hell broke loose. The fans became enthralled and connecting with each other, just a bit too excitedly. They began to rapidly add one another and transformed the idea of them all being a small village to somehow being an entire cult. This whole cult idea got so bad that I saw some religious people asking if they were able to even be in the fandom just because of how serious the beliefs from fans seemed to be. Similar to Tumblr trends, people thought it would be a great idea to draw stars on their hands to identify each other in the wild. And while it's a cute idea in its concept, this didn't really help with the whole cult ideology that many people were creating. Plus, as was greatly phrased by this Reddit user, drawing a star on your body to denote yourself as part of a certain group probably should ring a few bells. Yikes, that's kind of unfortunate, but yeah. This was only worsened when something called the cricket system began to spread online. Yaelokre released a small animatic depicting Kingsley asking Cole to pay them in the form of crickets.
Look, Cole, I know you don't have a job, but I don't work for free. If you give me 5 crickets, I'll distract Clementine for you.
I don't have crickets, Kingsley.
Sorry, baby girl, but business is business.
Since the Lark are all young kids infatuated with nature, it's easy to assume that this is just how they've decided to buy and sell. However, similar to the doubloons trend of late 2022, fans began a currency system where they'd share hypothetical crickets to each other. This led to fans spamming each other with "you've received 10 crickets" messages and posts. Both the cult idea and the cricket system made Keith uncomfortable, which it addressed in a short Twitter thread. However, all of this occurred in the days both preceding and proceeding other uncomfortable events. To keep this short, pro shippers exist in every fandom. They all have their own reason for existing, and none of those reasons are good. This is a general PSA. If you ever see a pro shipper on your timeline, just treat them like a bait post, because that's all they really are. Especially in this case, they only exist to discomfort others. They feed off of attention, so for this video, I won't be mentioning any of them by name. If you come across any pro shippers, the best thing you can do is immediately report them. You should also do this if someone is asking you to report them. However, just don't engage with them in any other way. Simply report, then block them. Don't watch their content and don't comment on it, because that's what they want you to do. Aside from all of that, one of the biggest issues has been with the lore. As I stated earlier, I didn't want to delve into it much since that was out of the respect for the creators who have yet to fully develop this story. However, much misinformation has already begun to spread due to how fast the fandom grew. For nearly a week, I was convinced that the Harkers were gods, or at least greater beings that were being worshipped by the Lark. However, this was never actually stated by Keith, rather said once and then spread like wildfire. When Keith tweeted about this, many people jumped on them about how little lore was developed, so how can you get on them for misinformation like this? Whilst these complaints would be fair if this was a cartoon or, even a children's book, this isn't fair for Yaelokre specifically. Meadowlark isn't fully developed, and that's stated pretty much everywhere. It's a passion project that blew up out of nowhere. As stated from Keith itself, I wrote Meadowlark for myself. Hayfields was a project entirely made for fun and was released on my cat's birthday. I've put all my person into this project, having been brewed for years. Why do strangers have the confidence to claim they know it all? Leave if you are unkind. It is important that you understand, this story is nowhere near finished, let alone set in stone. Anything I stated in this video could either be wrong or changed later on, which, once again, is Keith's right to do so. A lot of people have compared Yaelokre and the feelings they derive from it to be reminiscent of a children's book, something they find comfort and familiarity in despite never having indulged in it before. For me personally, it's most reminiscent of Narnia and this song that is literally just called A Nostalgic Dream. It's been playing since the beginning of the video, and it's fitting, right? I found it when I was around 10, and Yaelokre music made me run right back to it for comfort just because it was so similar in my mind. For me, both of these pieces of media are beautiful memories in my mind. They're things that offer me warmth and comfort. It's because of this that I offer this small warning. I'm sure most can recall a story that they loved when they were younger. Maybe read to you by a teacher or a parent or even just by you. How would these stories have impacted you if their development was met with these sort of struggles? Constant misinformation and drama in the community surrounding the creator would have been insane for a lot of these stories. I can't imagine what Keith has been feeling since the sudden explosion, and I just wish them so much luck on this journey, since misinformation and toxicity like this can be so mentally frustrating, I'd imagine. Again, if you really want to be a part of this community, I think it'd be best if you head in there with a ton of respect for the creator. Understand that the story isn't completed yet, and don't try to add anything weird into the community. It really isn't necessary to do anything but just appreciate the music. I don't know, maybe make an OC and make some friends, but like, that's all you gotta do. It's when you do these weird and toxic things that fandoms don't only crash and burn, but cause creators to leave as well. Keith has deemed this community of theirs the wonderful, as we are made to contribute to this through dreams and wonder, but we aren't here to change any of it. For creator's sake, just take yourself back to when you were being read a story as a child, and immerse yourself in that story. After all, that's where whimsy is actually derived from.